Next up at UFC Vegas 112, we have Neil Magny taking on UFC newcomer Yaroslav Amosov. Neil Magny, the welterweight king. And not because he became a world champion, but because he has the most amount of wins in welterweight history. He is 31-13 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5 on a nice little 2-fight win streak, taking on Yaroslav Amosov, 28-1 in his career, 4-1 in his last 5, making his UFC debut. Neil Magny, as I mentioned, has the most amount of wins in welterweight history, so he can do it all. He's a very well-rounded fighter, mostly a striker. He's got busy striking. He'll move forward. He's tall. He's lean. He's lanky. He'll use that range to try to piece you up. If you clinch against him, he's got phenomenal clinch work, especially against the cage. On the ground, he tries to use those long guy techniques and make stuff happen. Neil Magny's an incredibly well-rounded guy who has been finding wins, and he's an unbelievable measuring stick for situations exactly like this. He is coming off that win over Jake Matthews where we all thought he was unconscious in the first round, just for the ref to say, oops, I stopped it early. My bad. Let's just do the second round like that didn't happen. And then he found his own submission in the third. He's taking on Yaroslav Amosov. This is a guy that does exactly what you would expect somebody whose last name ends in ov to do. He's a fantastic chain wrestler. He's got good cardio. He can stick to a game plan. His striking is good as well. And while he's not one punch knocking anybody out, he has no problem sticking around, striking for a while, and that will eventually set up the takedowns. He does wear damage, though. Not quite Mateusz Rebecki bad, but he gets bloodied up and swollen relatively easily. He is coming into the UFC, and we have been let down time and time again by these giant favorites coming from other organizations. Patchy Mix has generational disappointment. Patricio Pitbull's first fight in the UFC was a letdown. Aaron Pico looked good for about a minute and a half before he was knocked out with a spinning back elbow. These guys just haven't been doing well. I do think, and I have said this before and I could be wrong, I do think Yaroslav Amosov is different. I think his wrestling is too good and he actually uses it. Aaron Pico is a good striker, so he was striking a little too much. Patchy Mix just refused to wrestle for some bizarre reason, where Yaroslav will wrestle. You can count on him to do it. He'll get in your face. He's got fantastic cardio. I think he's going to come in here, take Neil Magny down, and make a point pretty quickly. Neil Magny, obviously, you don't get the most amount of wins in the history of this division, which has historically been a very good division, by sucking, by quitting, by being a pushover. And he's none of those things. I think it's a relatively competitive fight, but a very one-sided fight. I think Yaroslav sets the tone immediately with a takedown, runs right through him, controls on the ground. Yaroslav's the pick. I think these odds are correct. What do you think, Jacob?
Yeah, it's pretty clear. Either he gets the takedowns or he doesn't. You saw the one fight in Bellator where he couldn't get the takedowns and he looked like he just did not want to be there. It's a little bit different because that Jason Jackson definitely was like pressuring in his face all the time. He failed a couple takedowns and it was like, oh shit. And then that pressure, he couldn't really set up his own takedowns. But Neil Magny, luckily for him, is not that guy. Neil Magny almost kind of backs up. He wants to kind of play that clinch game. And we always say, either don't fucking wrestle Neil Magny, just stay at range and just fucking knock him out. But if you are going to wrestle, you better make sure you get the takedowns. You can't play this half and half, up against the cage, because he'll just wear you down and and eventually pull that shit off. So apparently Amosov is an ATT guy, and they describe him as like the best grappler at ATT. So we're going to find out if that's true or not. We just saw the other ATT fucking grappler get fucking knocked out cold by lock of the week just a few days ago. So luckily Neil Magny's not super dangerous, but if Amosov, this gets out of the first round and he's been working hard, it's like I put it on Twitter the second I did my research for this fight, and I said, oh my God, they are literally setting up Neil Magny to get like the most Neil Magny win of all time.
I'll find something late.
Like literally, like the guy just wrestles, and then in the second round, you're like, oh shit, he's not really getting the takedowns anymore. And then all of a sudden, it's like the Jake Matthews fight. Like Magny just a weird scramble the fence, flips him around, and all of a sudden he's got a submission. You're like, no, what the fuck?
Mike Malott win was like that. He lost the entire fight, and he wasn't even in it. And then he somehow loses to Mike Malott, or somehow beats Mike Malott.
And if this guy starts failing takedowns, it's going to look like the exact same thing. So I got to go Amosov. I got to trust what I see. In the one fight, I mean, he won 27 fights in a row or something. Lost, came back, got a win to kind of avenge it. Obviously not to like win his belt back or anything like that. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Great. I let you process your thoughts there, and I appreciate it. Neil Magny, $6,800 in DraftKings Fantasy. Historically speaking, this is a guy who has defied the odds. Look what he did to Mike Malott. Look what he did. His last 3 fights, or 2 fights, he was an underdog. And he still came out there, and he still made it happen. And he was a counted out underdog against Jake Matthews. His losses are to Michael Morales, to Carlos Prates, and unfortunately to Yaroslav Amosov as well. He is losing to the prospects the UFC is pushing, beating sort of the established, as the older guys, finding wins against those people making the mistakes.
Yeah, if you can get him all the way down, he's not anything special on the ground. You gotta make sure you get him all the way down.
This might look exactly like how Gilbert Burns beat Neil Magny. Gilbert Burns made him look stupid. Like, took him down, submitted him, done. Like, made him look real dumb. And this might look that easy. Neil Magny does have some, I don't want to say grappling holes because he's wildly experienced, but it's certainly not his best skill set. If you do want to check out every pick, every bet, every tool, we are not only prepared for this card, but the next 5, the ones after the jump on Paramount that have already been announced. Just go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member at the top.